Hello and welcome to Antique Needleworkers. My name is Shellie and this is my channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it, and I hope that while you're here you'll find some type of inspiration for your making as well. And if you're a return subscriber, thank you so much for coming time and time again. Your patronage means the world to me. Well, okay, this is time number 2 this week that I'm here, and I promised and I'm back. So now I will tell you the rest of all the things that I did over the last couple weeks. On my last video a couple days ago, I wanted to just spend that precious time and tell you all those things about the retreat. I feel like if I would have mixed, like I said, I had recorded a feature-length film that was going on the verge of documentary, and it was just way too much. I didn't feel like anything got the attention that it deserved, and you deserve to hear everything and not be overwhelmed by way too much. I am known for big videos, but it was like over the top big videos. So anyway, so today we're back and I'm going to tell you all the things. And okay, so I have a little agenda, but I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to show you my I have some gifts and Happy Mail. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the guild. I am going to show you and talk to you about all the things that Carrie and I did, and show you all the things that we got while we went antiquing and spent time together, and the things that we kitted up and why we did that and why we started things. Again, it's all around me. I am going to do today's giveaways. I'm going to show you all of my whips and my finishes and fully finishes. And I'm going to show you my haul, and then towards the end I'm going to show you, I had a request. I had made a post when I was doing some quilting the other day, and I had 2 people say to me, oh, I really wish you would show more of your quilting. So I'm going to show you the things that I've been quilting on. I'm going to show you some long-term quilting projects, and then I thought you might really enjoy. I went and took 3 antique quilts from 3 different time frames out of my collection, and I brought them, and I wanted to tell you their stories, because when I buy the antique quilts, yes, I do buy them and cut them up and sell things in my Etsy shop, but there are some and many that go into my private collection, and I like to learn about them, and I love to sleuth from the clues that they give me. And so anyway, I brought 3 different ones from 3 different time frames that tell 3 different stories. So I thought that I would share that with you today. So okay, so let's get going. So I stopped into Keepsakes, and when I stopped into Keepsakes, I was getting ready to leave, Carrie and I were, and Barbara said, oh, wait just a minute, there is something here for you. And she said that a while back someone had stopped in and they had dropped off something for me, and that I hadn't been in for a little bit, but when I was in, I guess Barbara wasn't out front. And so long story short, this has been at Keepsakes for a while, and I am just so thankful. It came from Dairy Barn Art. She is on Flosstube, and I think she has a little shop. She stopped in and she made me a beautiful project bag. And then she made me some floss drops and a charm bling to go along with. And it's just so pretty, and crocheted a flower on there and covered a button, and then it's got this stitching. It's just so pretty. I want to thank you so much. There was no, maybe there wasn't a card. Yeah, it just was the tag. But I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping in and dropping something off for me. I'm sorry, I don't know how long it's been there, but I do have it now. So yeah, Dairy Barn Art on YouTube, and thanks for making me a treat. I appreciate you so much. Okay, that was one thing, and then I went to the P.O. box, and I got a sweet card, and I got a package, and in it was Blair Gowrie from With My Needle. My friend happens to be Ellen Chester. This is one of her designs, and it was sent to me by Susan Seraphine. I love your last name. We all love to stitch with Seraphine, and that was the first thing I thought of was Seraphine. So Susan, I thank you so much. Of course, very thoughtful, butterflies on the card, very sweet card. It was so kind of you, and I thank you so much and appreciate you sending that my way. I am definitely going to stitch that, not only because it was a kind gift from you and I don't have it, but also because it's from one of my dear friend's designs. So it's perfect all the way around. Okay, so that was my happy mail. Okay, so let's see, who have I been watching? Over the last couple weeks, I've watched my friend Lisa Duffin, who is Lady Huzzah Creates or Presents, and I'm going to get to see her at StitchCon here in a little less than 2 weeks. I have been watching Country Stitchers, and you know what? They've put out 2 videos, but congratulations, Deb and Liz. They have hit 29,000 subscribers. Actually, since they hit 29,000, they actually have like 29,500. They are one of the original Flosstubers. They do so much for our community. They are such an inspiration. I love them. They do spread the joy of needlework, and I just want to say, Liz and Deb, bravo, you've done a great job. Thank you for what you do for our community. So I did want to say that. I watched my friend JBW Designs, and you know, it's the first one that Judy Whitman has done in a while, and she told of how she had, right before market, suffered from COVID. Now, I saw her, hugged her neck and stood with her, and she is such a lady of poise and grace. I would have never known that she was probably 10 times more exhausted than the normal person at Nashville. And here she had been sick. Judy, I was so glad to see you there. I was so sad to hear on your video that you had been sick, but it was good to see you again and spend some time with you. I do love Judy. She is precious, precious, precious. Of course, I've been watching our very favorite cousins. I always watch our favorite cousins, the Floss Boston cousins. I watched Susan Stanley, A Stitch in Time. She is one of my favorites. I absolutely love. She had done the Mary 1840 series where she taught how to hand piece and do a doll quilt that was inspired by the year and time frame of 1840, and it is absolutely, it was so much fun. I joined in. Now I am a long-time quilter, and one of my favorite things to do, funny enough, as much as I love to run these machines that I have, I love to hand piece and I love to hand quilt. I can't even believe how much I love to do that. And so when she did that series, I didn't care if I knew how to do it or not. I jumped right on and did that. Well, now Susan has picked up the torch and she's doing another series in a different time frame, 1870, and it's Corliss and her sister, and you know, it leaves me, even when I was watching it, I rolled back, but I can't remember the sister's name. But anyway, Corliss in the time frame is 1870, and she's teaching you how to do English paper piecing, and so that's always so much fun. So you will enjoy, and you need to check out Susan Stanley. If you go back and watch 46, 47, 48 video on there, you will just love it. And she is such a joy. What a beautiful stitcher and quilter, and such a, again, what a beautiful asset to our community. Bravo, Susan. I am enjoying all of your content. I watched my friend Hobbies of Holly, and you know what? She did a little 10-minute tour of her studio. Now, mind you, I have been there, and I love Holly's studio. You should go and check it out. I mean, whose studio has a kitchenette and a living room? I mean, seriously. So do watch Hobbies of Holly. She's got a couple videos out since the last time I filmed, and one of them is that video, and I absolutely love it. I have watched The Fanciful Flamingo. I have watched Annie the Proper Stitcher, and I have just enjoyed all of those. I've watched a few more. Sarah Sitchy Spot, I love that. Sarah is so sweet, and I have caught it while I've been working. Last week I really was working a lot. I have a great nephew who was born about 75 days ago, and he has some very serious health issues, and he's not in our state right now. They took him down. My niece went to St. Petersburg to deliver because the Children's Hospital at Johns Hopkins down there specializes in the issue that my great nephew had in utero and has had since then. And so his name is Jasper. Say a little prayer for him. He's had 7 surgeries already, and but there was a huge benefit last week. And so the things that I normally keep in my shop on Etsy, I sewed, and took all my back stock and I gave it to them. And they had a big auction and craft fair. And so we're all trying to raise money for my nephew, and they've got a long haul ahead of them. So I've been really busy with that. So I was able to turn the television on and watch a lot of Flosstube while I was doing that, because it was very important to me to, trot on and get things done. So that's what I have been watching, and that's what I've been kind of doing. And so, okay, so all right, so the last video I had talked to you about the retreat, and some of those things are going to come up again because of course it has to. So Carrie, she flew in, and oh my gosh, I picked her up. It was so wonderful. I was so glad to see her. I'm so excited I get to see her again at StitchCon. She's going to stay right here, and we're just going to have crazy stitchy madness and antique again and do all the things, but she's going to drive her car. Her haul from then is right here. I said that in the last video. So she came and I picked her up, and oh my gosh, it was so good to see her. This next time I will see her is StitchCon, and then I don't know, she was going to go to Hobby House with me in October, but both of her children go to Clemson, and they are both having that very specific time. Clemson is going to have their ringing ceremony where both of her kids are going to get their class rings. You have to earn the right by so many hours or credits to do that, and both of her children are going to ring together, and so of course that's more important. So I'm going to just soak up every last second with her, because I probably won't see her again until maybe Nashville. I'm sure we'll be in Nashville again together, and so I'm gonna have to soak up all the Carrie time while she's here. I'm glad she's driving, because if I convince her to stay longer, she won't have a plane to catch. So what were some of the things that we did? Well, we like squealed and had such good talk time, and we went, some of the things that we did, we went to Keepsakes, and when we went to Keepsakes, we kitted up something to commemorate her being here, and of course in a visit to Keepsakes. And so I'll show you these things as I'm talking about them. So we went, and we wanted to she wanted to commemorate her visit, and so she wanted to kit up something, so we kitted it up together. And we thought that when we walked in the door, would you look at that? Oh, isn't she just amazing? I saw this across the room, and it was, I did not get this here, but I had one at home. It was plunked on top of one of these, and it was sitting in front of the fireplace, and I went, oh, Carrie! And we ran over there, and what was on it? It was Quaker Samplers 4 by our friend Ellen Chester, and we said, oh my gosh, this is the perfect thing, a monochromatic, a spool finish, and we could do that, and it would be the kit up, and then it would give us something to buy that tomato for. And so we bought the tomatoes, we bought the pattern, and can you see that real good? And then we bought We bought thread. We kitted the whole thing up. I'll tell you. We got 36 count Shakespeare's Peddler's Sunkissed, and we bought Schoolhouse Red by Gloriana. I'll show you this when I show you my whips in a minute, but that's what we bought when we were at Keepsakes. We were going to commemorate her visit, commemorate our friend Ellen, buy this funky cool tomato, which is by Beth Wiksen, who I told you about. And I'm going to give you some more information about Beth because I've talked to her since the last video, and I'm going to help you get in connection with her. But we bought this so that we could do this and have this cool display. So we did that, and we went from Keepsakes and we went antiquing. And we blew it out. It was so good. So we went, and she had never been to our local antique mall, and she just was flabbergasted at how absolutely large it was. So we left and we got to Keepsakes and opened up the door. We were there when they got there, and we literally were at the antique mall until we had to, at the last minutes, to get in the car and go down to downtown Cincinnati to go have dinner with Nicola Parkman. And so now let me go across the room. I have a few things to grab that I forgot to bring over here, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, with it being the third time this week, the first time being that big video, then having to scrap it and then do this, I forgot something across the room. Okay, so then we went up to the antique mall. And when we went to the antique mall, I immediately walked in the door and I found something which I about hit the floor over. I should have made sure that this was on top. We all know that I love shaker boxes. Booth number 1, I walk and there is this giant shaker sewing box. Now you see this shaker sewing box? That's a size 4. I have a size 6 and a size 8 in the house, and now I'm not sure what size this is. I think this might be a 10, or if there's something bigger, but it's beautiful, and it has bird's eye on the top, and then it is definitely been made into a sewing box because they had it lined. And this was the absolute deal of the century. This is handmade. It was made by a Carl Hirth in 2015, it says in the lid. And ladies and gentlemen, I only paid $65 for it. This little one cost more than that. This was the deal of the whole trip to the antique mall. I about fell over, and Carrie said, "I can't believe you just walked into the first booth and bam, you found that." So this was a good find, and I absolutely love it. So I love them. I think I'm going to keep some hand piecing in them. I have my number 6 and my number 8 in the main house in front of the fireplace in the living room, and when I'm hand piecing or I'm English paper piecing, I have those set up for both acumens, and so this would be perfect to put under there. I'll show you, I do have some of my hand piecing in here, and I'll show you another basket I have later on when I get to that, but I think that will make a beautiful statement in my living room. And so that was fun. And then we walked around the corner and I found this thing. Now I have this is the entire collection of Treenway silks. It's a complete set. But I walk around the corner and there was this thing, and I said, "Carrie, look at that. I can put all my silks on it." My new set that I bought. And so I brought it home, and it looks so neat. I have it sitting right over there now. So when you come up the steps, you can see it, but it's not in the sunlight. And it's got all of my entire collection of Treenway silks on it. Is that not a good, cool deal? It's got a little knob on the top. So it's really cool. That was super cool find. And then I found some quilts and quilt tops for me to use for my making. I found a really prim quilt top, which everybody loves the bright colorful ones, but then there's the pretty people, and it is so nice to find this is old, but it's beautiful, all hand stitched and pieced, and Primmy, and so I got that, and I'm excited because it's not too often you find an ultra prim. And then this is a complete feed sack. I'm actually going to just quilt this and have this in my collection as a quilt. But these are 1.5 inch square 9 patches set between solid patches. And this is about a queen size quilt. Would you look at that? It's 100% feed sack. And this, my friends, was $45. I thought the person who really undervalued this gorgeous piece of history personally. So this will not be used for making. I am going to quilt this and put this in my collection. The only thing that happens, which just I'll teach you a little something about quilts right now, and that is, even though this is 100% Depression era, every single pattern in it, and you can see, and they are beautiful. I love the pink has these little houses, and just all of the beautiful feed sack in here. When someone takes, now, you know, you got to remember, if you're a quilter, scraps can sit in someone's baskets for years. And so when you're trying to date a quilt, you want to find the newest piece of the quilt. Because unfortunately, although that this is completely Depression era, now it will be noted as so, but once I put material on the back of it and batting and I quilt it, the newest piece is what dates the quilt. Although it will be looked at and someone will say that is a vintage top that somebody has finished. Of course, I'll put that on my quilt plate on the back. But so if you take old material and put it with new material, then the quilt will be dated based on the newest fabric that is placed within that quilt, whether it's the back or the front. And so yes, this will be, people will know this is an antique top, but they'll say, oh, and that's a new back on there, and that's new binding on there, and all that was quilted in modern times, and they'll be able to tell that. But I will tell the story on the back. So if you ever wanted to know how to date a quilt, that's one of the clues. So I bought those 2 quilt tops. Then I found this little quilt, which has been all hand quilted, and I did buy this to make with. It has imperfections in it, but it's very pretty, and this will make great stockings for Christmas time to put in the shop, because it's all Christmas colors. And sometimes you'll find them in these colors, but not a whole lot. So it was a good find. And then Carrie and I came around the corner, and this, I bought this, but we're sharing this. She repurposes stitching and I repurpose quilts. And this is got stitching and it's a quilt. So we are going to cut this up, and she's going to take part of it and I'm going to take part of it. And then we'll make things from this. And it's big and giant and got lots of real estate for us to do something with. So that was another thing that I found when we were antiquing. And then I came around the corner, and this is a reproduction of an old poster. But I fell in love with this. You know, I'm a gardener, and I had actually gone to the bathroom and came out, and they had a display right outside the bathroom, and it was all garden related. And it is this McCall's reproduction poster. And do you see her? Don't you wish we all looked like that when we gardened, girls? Well, I thought this would be so neat. I could see it all in my head. I'm having my husband, I'm gonna have him cut up a couple of my oldest wooden tomato stakes, and I'm gonna have him pin the 4 corners, and then I'm gonna staple this on to the back of it and frame it that way and hang it in my greenhouse. I thought that would be really pretty, because my greenhouse isn't a tunnel, it is a potting shed greenhouse. So it's got the glass top, and it's a beautiful little building, and I do decorate inside of it. So I thought that would be really neat, but it would be neat in posterity, because it would be, I have tomato stakes that I've been married 34 years this year, and I've been gardening since year 1, and you know, as an adult. So anyway, who knows how old those tomato stakes were. So I thought that was really, really neat. So I found that, and then I found one more thing. And that is, I know you're all gonna laugh like I need another sewing box, but I can't help it. I love antique sewing boxes, and look at how perfect she is, and look at the shape. I know my husband's like, you needed another sewing box. Well, yes, I did. Look at how pretty the inside is. Isn't it pretty? And lo and behold, it's got stuff in it. It's got old hat pins in the top. Can you see that? And it's got things in it, and there's even something in here that I'm going to give as a gift. Jan Calvert, who is one of the finishers at Keepsakes, I happen to find things, and it surprises me that say Calvert. And I brought her something last time that I went antiquing out in Iowa that said Lord Calvert on it, and her husband has a collection of these. So, and I saw this and it says Calvert is delicious. Well, I don't know what Calvert was in this box, but at StitchCon I'm taking this to my sweet friend Jan because I want her to have this, and it's got tiny little spools, and they are the tiny wooden ones. And so they're just adorable. So I bought, that's in there, and there was a couple pin cushions, even a tomato pin cushion that was made out of Christmas. Somebody must have made that. Just, this is so cute. It looks like a little briefcase. It's a little sewing kit. So I had to have this. So yeah, I don't need another one. I bought it. I don't care. I only live once. So anyway, that was my finds when we went to antiquing. And I just looked over my shoulder and I forgot that I got this when I was at Keepsakes. Barbara had taken and had someone make little tiny tote bags that looks like a little shopping bag. It's so cute. And but I didn't make these. She had somebody else make them, and she had a whole thing of them. So if you want some of these, Keepsakes is always in my description box. Is this not the cutest little shopping bag? It is adorable. So I bought that while we were there too. And so those were the things that when Carrie and I went antiquing, I found, and that was so much fun, and we had such a good time that day. Oh my goodness, we enjoyed each other's company so much. And I had told you all about in the last video. Then we went to dinner with Nicola, and then the next day we hung out in our jammies late until close to lunch, and then we went to the hotel, but you know all about that. So anyway, the other thing I did want to talk to you about while I was sitting right here was Ellen Chester is programs and events for our guild, and she put together this phenomenal bookmark, and it has activities. So if you were interested in what if you joined the Queen City Sampler Guild, what it would look like for events, well, we have 2 stitch-ins in the evening and in the morning a month. And then starting January 25th of 2025, we're going to have a Zoom lecture with Claudia Dutcher-Kistler from Dutch Treat Designs. And she's going to be speaking to us about colored Bristol samplers. Then in February, just very shortly after that, we're going to have a Zoom lecture with Kim Ivey on the regionalism of American samplers in the Williamsburg collection. Then on February 15th, we will have an all-day stitch-in. Then in March, we'll have a general meeting with the whole entire guild that is able to come. And then we will be talking, Sue Bradford will be talking about charting the Mary Ann Clark marking sampler from the Cincinnati Art Museum. Then I'm so excited about this too. I can't wait for all of these events, but in April, Leanne Van Leyen from 1897 Schoolhouse is going to lecture, and I love her. I love her. I've said this before. I've met her, and I love her. She's amazing. And so she's going to lecture. Katie Strachan is going to lecture as well in April. And then we're going in May to have our 30th anniversary party, and our we have a sampler that's being done for us to commemorate our 30th anniversary. Then we're going to have in June a Zoom workshop with Sissy Bailey Smith, and it is going to be a sampler, Stories Housewife, and those, we've only made it to June. That's 6 months. This is what I talk about all the time, and I'm going to continue to talk about. These are amazing things. I would love for you to join our guild because it's my guild and I love it and I'm very, very proud of it. But there are lots of guilds. I know that Deb and Liz talk about, they're in the Delaware Valley, and I think they're on several other guilds. I am in some other guilds as well, but I'm a board member and I'm also a member of my local guild, which I'm very proud of. And so I want to share those things with you because I talk about education and wanting to have camaraderie and grow in our craft, and those are the ways that you can do that. And like I said, did you hear? A lot of this is by Zoom, so you could live in the back 40 of Arkansas and you could still be part, and it is such a wonderful thing. And you can get on the Queen City Sampler Guild and look up and find all that information on how to do that. But I thought this was so neat to have this because this gives me the availability to share with you and all of my friends, hey look, these are the things that you could be involved in if you joined. So anyway, I just thought you might be interested in that. Okay, so now let's move on, and I think I should just move on and show you my whips and finishes and fully finishes. Okay, now whips, finishes, and fully finishes. But you know what? I forgot to show you something. My daughter had called me when Carrie was here, and she had, I had talked about little strawberry crates, you know, the vintage ones, and she was up at the Dollar General, and she called and she said, Mom, you and Carrie could put your stitched strawberries in these pretty little porcelain ones. One has blueberries and one has strawberries. And so these were $3 at the local Dollar General, and my daughter brought these for me and Carrie. And I think they're adorable, aren't they? So run to Dollar General and look in their new, I guess, summer, spring collection. These are too cute. Wouldn't those be cute to put your little strawberry finishes in? So I forgot to show you that. Okay, so I had showed you not too long ago that I had, I don't have the pattern with me, I filed it away, but it was the free pattern that came from Nashville Needlework Market with the 3 new colors that Classic Colorworks came out. And I had finished it, and I had told you I was thinking about finishing it into a box. Well, I did. And I've got the hardware. I realized I had put it in this little bin so I didn't lose it. I had to take the little clasp off to paint it. But I just put a little pretty craft paper on the inside. Oops. Oops. And felt. I laid into the bottom and just made myself a little box. The only thing is, let me get the glare off. It does have an upper border and a lower border, but it did not show when I put it in the box, but it's the perfect box for this. And so this was a birthday gift my daughter had given me for my birthday and to finish with, because she knows I finish all my own stuff. The only thing I do frame some of my stuff sometimes, but really other than that, I do all of my own finishing. And so she bought me that finishing piece. So all I have left to do is pick up that piece of blue felt that looks great in the bottom and put it back in there. And I didn't want to, it just fit perfectly. I did not want to glue it down because if for some reason I decided that I love the birdie paper that I put in there and the lace. But if I wanted to change that for some reason at some time, I could change it to coordinate it. So it laid in there perfectly. I'm going to put this in my front bathroom, and I know, stitching in the bathroom, I don't care. I'm putting it in the bathroom. I have stitching everywhere. I have it in the grandkids' bedroom. I stitched a sampler. It was Lori Holt's a quilter's cottage. It looks so cute. I did it on a blue fabric. I have that in the grandkids' room. I have it in the kitchen. I have it in the bathroom. I have it everywhere. I don't care. It's my house and I want my stitching everywhere, and it is everywhere. So this is going to go in the front bathroom that I just redecorated, that I told you that is going to get sampler under the cloche. The cloche, the stand is black with the cloche on top. So this is perfect to go in the bathroom on the counter. So I finished that. And then I had one other finish. I have not fully finished it, but it's finished. I stitched spring green pears from Annie B's. I stitched this on the called for 36 count agave, and I stitched it with Belle Soie oatmeal scone silk, 1 thread over 2, and I just chose one of the pairs. I'm going to tell you why. And this came, my fabric came from Hollis Hands Creates, and Christine does have more agave that goes specifically for this. So it's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. But let me tell you why I picked 1 and not 3. Now, each one of Annie's patterns comes with 3 pairs. She has red, she has blue, and she has green. And I find that very interesting. I have 3 children. Their birthstones are emerald, ruby, and sapphire. And so I thought, you know what I need to do? I'm going to stitch, as a matter of fact, next Tuesday, my first child will be 33 years old, my sweet baby Michael, and his birthstone is the emerald. So this is going to be Michael's pair, and I will put it, all 3 of them. I have my secretary desk in the entryway. I think I'm going to sit them there, but I'm going to finish this pair. I'm going to use the coordinating fabric from the Blackbird line, and I'm going to pick 2 different with the green, and I think that'll look really, really good. And then my middle son Matthew, his birthstone is a ruby, so I'm going to pick one of the red ones and do that. And then my daughter is a sapphire, and so I'm going to choose one that represents her. I chose this one because it had a tree, a strong tree in the middle, and then it has 2 birds looking at it, and I thought that's interesting because doesn't a man want to be recognized like an oak, a strong man? And my son's a man. I just had that baby, I'm telling you. He can't be 33. But I thought, you know what, in picking my pair, I almost picked the peacock because he's really handsome, and he's not vain at all, but like he gets his hair cut every Friday. He's keeps it high and tight. He's clean, and I mean just spot on when it comes to those things. And I thought, oh, I should make it, but he doesn't strut around like a peacock. So I thought, nope, I'm going to pick the one with the tree because he's a big, strong oak. And so this is going to have a on the back. I will put the year tag, and then I have some charms with initials on them, so I will put an M charm with the year tag on the back, and that'll stand for Michael. And so I did spring green pears in honor of my son Michael. I will do Matthew's next, and that will be a red pair, and then I'll do Erin's. She's the baby, and I'll do the blue for her. So I got that done, so you will in a future video see a fully finished of that. So those were my fully finished and my finishes. Now let's move on. Considering I've had Carrie in town and gone to retreats, I was busy sewing. I feel like I did a lot of stitching. Funny enough. So you know, because that's a lot of busy time. This is, as I said, this is Quaker Samplings number 4 by With My Needle from Ellen Chester. And you make this and put this on a spool. And as I said, it is on Shakespeare's Peddler 36 count sun-kissed fabric that they have dyed, and it was with Schoolhouse Red from from Belsois. I'm not ironed, and I still have my little teacup needle minder sitting on this, but I got a whole lot of this done. Actually, I got to the halfway point. Sorry, I'm not ironed, but I am about to the halfway point. So that's pretty good. That's a start and a halfway done. Since I've said, look at my little silver teacup, inspired by Shellie. I love her from Newcastle, and so I always think of her when I'm using, because she inspired me to get my little teacups. I just love that, and I think of her. You got to watch her, Shellie, on YouTube, and check her out on the socials too. She's a sweet lady. So I worked on that. So that was a lot of progress, considering that was a start. And then, because of the Nicola Parkman retreat, I practiced my queen stitches. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. A long time ago, I told you about my 8-pound bag of fabric that I found. And Ellen Chester, when she saw the video, I had showed, and also I had showed on my socials, that there was a part of a sampler done, and she said, "Oh, Shellie, that's Rachel Allen from the Scarlet Letter." And I said, "Oh, well, there was no pattern. It was just the linen with the stitching on it. That was it." So I hunted down on the secondary market, and I got the pattern a long time ago. And this is Rachel Allen. And if you'll notice, all these strawberries are queen stitched and ruched all the way around the border. Well, there's a couple reasons why, when she told me this, that I wanted to do this. I wanted to finish this maker's sampler. First off, Rachel Allen is an Ohio sampler, so that's fantastic. I have a dangling thread. I'm sorry. So that made it very inviting. But my father was adopted, and now, although his family came from deep in Appalachia, Rachel Allen brought it to mind that I'm really an Allen, that my daddy was adopted, and he would have been an Allen had he not been adopted. And I thought, Ohio and Allen, I am 1000% going to finish this. So I've talked in the past that the nemesis was the queen stitch. Now, mind you, now that I've gone through the Nicola Parkman retreat, and I was executing my stitch right. It was acclimating it, because they come like this, and then you'll sit another one here and here and here. So it's on the diagonal. And so I just kept telling myself, come up through the bottom of the stitch, go up 4 threads, go down, come up through the second, make sure you count 1, 2 stitches, 2 threads to the right, 1, 2 to the left, and then come out and pin it and go across. I was doing it right, but I was having a very hard time. Now I'm going to tell you something. 2 of these strawberries look excellent. One of them looks like Mr. Magoo, and I really don't care, but I've got a really good goings on this Rachel Allen sampler. And if you'll see, these are my queen stitches. Now, this is the Mr. Magoo one. I don't care. I am going to Jean Lee this thing. I am going forward. I'm not going to go back. But if you look at the other 2, they look really, really good. So I just practiced my counting as I did this sampler. This fabric is a very loose weave 28 count. It's what was in the bag. I didn't choose this. I'm sure that the original person who started this, she had some of these things done here, over here, and some of this green, and I picked up and I've worked on it since I got it out of that bag. And I'm just going to push through and do it exactly as it was found, because I just thought, you know, there's something about that Allen, and the fact that it was in a bag of a stitcher, that how in the world did, out of the corner of my eye, I see this big 8-pound bag filled with yards and yards and yards of fabric that was amazing. And so anyway, long story short, I'm enjoying stitching on Rachel Allen. I am no longer fearful about you know, my placement of my queens, if they're not exactly perfectly, they'll get there. They'll get there. So the moral to the story is, girls, try your stitches, and you know what? They'll just get better and better. And Jean's right. Always forward, never looking back. I'm leaving mine in there, and I will look at them later on in my life, and I will just say, and I learned, and I started right there. So, and these are the called for DMCs. There's just a couple colors. There's 2 greens, a black, a brown, a blue, a cream, and a red. And the red is $3.55. So all the called for colors. And so, and then I absolutely, this is, look at this little girl on my thread card. That's exactly me. I was sitting there, I'm paying very close attention. I counted my threads very judiciously. I heard my teacher in my mind, and I thought, Mrs. Parkman, look, I'm practicing my stitches. It was so much fun. So it was, I was encouraged from the retreat to practice on Rachel Allen, and I'm just gonna keep motoring on with that. I'm excited now. Ever since I found this, and Ellen told me what it was, and I got the sampler, I have to say I didn't do a lot to it because I was intimidated. I was doing the stitches right, I just wasn't acclimating them correctly. And so I'm learning, counting again. So anyhow, the next thing I worked on was my piece that was my retreat piece from the Queen City Sampler Guild's retreat, and it is Margaret Hutton, and I showed this to you before. The linen is a 40 count tabby cap linen. You know, let me see if it's on here, the name of it. No, the model was stitched on Muddy Duck. Well, maybe it is Muddy Duck by Tabby Cat Linens. This is a Tabby Cat linen. It came with it. And so, as I showed you before, I've put a few more leaves coming down. I'm using the called for Avera Swa Silks. And I've come from the very top, I made it to the bottom, and we're around the corner. But since I've seen you the other day, I've just continued to add leaves into my border. I want to just kind of finish that border around and down to where I have. And then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to begin doing some work with the alphabet and the bands and practicing the beautiful stitches. Again, I'm using the Avera Swa Silks. And they're lovely and enjoyable to stitch with. So I've got a little bit more done since the other day, just a few leaves, but continuing down, you know, you've got to motor through all that, and then you can put the flowers onto the leaves. It's just a process. So I worked a little bit on that. And then I worked a little bit on the Queen of the May that I got. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to make sure I put my pattern back in my bag. I don't want to forget that. Okay, and then Hannah Green 1826, the 2024 Queen of the May, and Margaret Hutton. All of the stitching is except for Rachel Allen is 2 threads over 2 threads. Then Margaret Hutton is 1 thread over 2 threads, and this is 1 thread over 2 threads that I'm stitching this. And I am using all of the called for Avera Swa Silks, and look, this is one of those boxes that Beth Twist's husband makes, and they're at the attic. There's a little magnet up there, but I'm using the called for silks. Avera Swas, and I am stitching this on Legacy Linen Gothic Ivory, and the count is 5363. It's an uneven weave, and therefore I will show you. This is the bottom. The stitch count is 322, I believe. Yes, it's 322 by 279, and there was a solid line, so I came over here and came a couple stitches down and came a 322 over and then came up a little bit. I wanted to delineate that because I want to take off this extra fabric over here, and this is going to go on my Millennium frame stretcher bars, and then I'll be able to use my stand. I'm so excited about my stand. We're going to talk about it in a minute. I'm so excited about it. But I wanted to be able to get this on stretcher bars because actually I can use stretcher bars now because of my new frame. And because this is 322 and this is such a high count linen 53, 63, I thought I need to get that in because all of this full coverage grass right here, if you see this line, it goes right there and it goes all the way under it and then right there, which was a very helpful thing because I can come and get this little zigzag in and this little zigzag in, and then I'll come over and start working on the grass, because if I can get that outlined, then I can stitch on that at something that I need to just do fill in. And that is a lot of grass down there, so I wanted to and then the animals in the grass, so I thought, yep, I'm gonna do a bottom start, and that way I can line out the bottom border. And I was so excited. I don't remember if I said this on my last video, but when we got to see the Queen of the May, we found out that Contented Needleworker Kim was the one who stitched the model. It was just beautiful and her work was exquisite. So it was just so neat. I see I'm still talking about that retreat. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. So that is my Queen of the May. And then I made these bags out of an antique quilt. I made one for Carrie and I made one for myself. And here's why. There's orange in this quilt, and then there's purple in this quilt. Well, Carrie is a Clemson tiger, you know, orange and purple. But then I did the inside to look like me. Look, it's got the farm stuff. So a little Carrie, a little Shellie. And we had decided before she came that we were choosing a project that we would start and stitch on together. And we decided another one of our friends who is a designer, that is Sylvia with Running with Needles and Scissors. She had a market release that we fell in love with. It's Hannah Rome, and it's called Note of Love. It's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Carrie kitted hers up with a Carrie conversion because she wasn't able to hurry up and get the Victoria Clayton silks before she had to fly. But I had immediately after market gotten the Victoria Clayton silks for it. And when we were at market, we bought the fabric, and it's Atomic Ranch Joy Lynn 36 count. And listen, we started the side border, but we did get from here to here. So it's a start, but we were so giddy talking to one another. But so hopefully the next time I see you, I want to continue working on this. But so it was a start, and it was to honor our friend Sylvia and to have something to stitch together. Last time that she came, she made the project bag. So this time I made the project bag, and this was my gift to her when she got here. So that was another thing that we started. And then, is this not so adorable? This is a Tammy Blaylock bag. Absolutely love Creative Country Girl bags. It's so pretty, this Teresa Kogut. But anyway, I worked a tiny little bit on my Innocence by Kathleen Littleton Cross Stitch Antiques. I love this. I love Kathleen Littleton, and I am doing this with the called for DMCs, and I am stitching this 1/2 on 46 count, those missing stitches, Exceptional Eleanor. And when we saw it last, I had done this side piece and I brought the border up a little bit. So there's a lot of color changing in the leaves. There's like, you have to change the color each leaf like 3 or 4 times. And so it's just a little bit. I took it from here and bent it over, but I did work on it, so it's worthy of showing. So love, 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 love it. And I love those missing stitches linens. I love Rachel's linen from Needle and Flax, and I love those missing stitches. She has got a beautiful, beautiful linen, and it's lovely to stitch on. It's not overly tight on a 46 count, so that makes it wonderful. Okay, then I love on Facebook, there is a group and there is a designer called I Stitch Designs, and it's Carol Ridyard, and she does band samplers. This is so adorable. I had this over at, we had a local stitch day, and I was sitting there with a couple guild friends, and Connie Hockman, one of my friends from the guild, said, I can't believe that I just covered the entire alphabet with my thumb. But anyhow, I'm trying to get this thing out. This is the band sampler, and it's mini band sampler too, and it's teeny, teeny, tiny. You see this? Listen, you stitch this 1/1 on 40 count. It turns out teeny, teeny, tiny. And as you can see, there's this little Tim Holtz locket that you clip to the top. You nun stitch around the edges of it, and then you clip this little, it says souvenirs. It is so cute. You have to find these on the secondary market, but it opens up and you just kind of click it down and put it on the top of it. But this is page 1. And look, my friend Connie's right. You can cover the whole that's the whole first ABCs with your thumb. Is that not adorable? Now, that's page 1. There's 3 pages. Let me check real quick. There's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yes, yes. There's 3 pages, so I have 2 pages to go. And I am stitching this with DMC 498. And I'm stitching this on 40 count. Oh, this is a 40 count pecan butter by Lakeside Linens. And that's the back. There you go. Oh, isn't it adorable? So I think this will be so neat. There's mini band sampler 1. This is mini band sampler 2. I think Connie wants to do mini band sampler 1 now that I've showed her this. She was so excited about it. But so, anyway, I want to motor through this and get this done. I just think it's adorable, and what I plan to do with it is I have a little table over here, and I have it covered in my my pin cushions, and I have a little thread spool holder over there, and I thought it would be neat to just clip the little Tim Holtz. Let me show you the packaging so that you know. I found this on the secondary market. You can't find these anymore, but I got 3 of them when I did. It's called Locket Book, and it's Tim Holtz Ideology. This is what you're looking for if you want to do one of these, but you don't have to have this. It just makes it so cute. But so anyway, another tip that I wanted to show you, and I had this in here, is when I'm stitching this and you're doing 1/1 on a 40 count, sometimes when you're going through the hole multiple times, like let's say there's a stitch and there's a stitch all the way around it, well, you're going to go in that hole 3 or 4 times, and sometimes it's tight to pull your needle there. I practice something that I do in my hand quilting, and that is I wear a rubber finger. You see that? I keep these in my sewing box, which is right here. I think that I have the box in here. I get them. They are from. They're an office supply. That it's an office supply item. Here they are. Slimline rubber finger quantity 12. This is what the box looks like, and I just order it off of Amazon. I will put a link, but this is very helpful because when you're hand quilting and you rock that needle and you get 5 or 6 stitches on there, when you go to pull it, the needle will slide between your finger. Well, the same thing happens when you're doing a 1/1 on a 40 count or higher, and so it's hard to pull that needle sometimes. So if you put a rubber finger on your finger, one of your fingers, you can grab that needle and pull it. So little tip for you, my friends. So this is something that I carry over from my quilting. So that was something else that I worked on. And then I have one more thing that I worked on. See, I think I got a lot done considering I had company and a whole lot going on. I still feel like I got stitching done. Oh, and as well, another thing that I don't have in here with me, but if you are stitching along with the Antique Needleworkers Friend Sal that we will be completing at doing the last stitches at StitchCon. I started it with you and my local stitch friends last year at StitchCon, and the last diamond motif at the bottom, if you were looking at your piece, it's the bottom right. That's the last motif. So I have everything done and ready, and I'm up to date with mine. So if you're stitching along with us, I hope that you will join during StitchCon A. And even if you're not there, and put your last stitches in, please tag me and show it on the socials, and use the hashtag Antique Needleworkers Friends Sal, so that I can see your completions. It's been a fun year stitching with friends and seeing. I love walking into Guild because there's a couple friends of mine that are stitching it as well, and it just makes me as proud as a peacock to walk in, and there they are stitching on their friend Sal, and so I just love that. So but mine's up to date. Is yours up to date? I hope so. We're all putting the final stitches in less than 2 weeks at StitchCon. And the last thing I worked on was the Token of Love Honora Maxwell 1862 by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. This was a gift to us at the retreat from Nicola Parkman, and I am stitching it with the called for Avera Soie 103s. And you know that Keepsakes is carrying 103s. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Susan. We love you for that. Well, I got my border skeleton all done, and I've been working on filling in my flowers. So this is on 56 count needle and flax Thornfield. Is this not adorable? I mean, look how little the sampler is going to be. So Jen Nasca, Carrie, my friend Kim Storer, and myself, you will have seen those in the roll-in. I made sure I put the names. I thought it would be neat to put the names of the people that were in the pictures. So roll back if you weren't watching, so that you can see, because I thought, well, I talk about these people all the time. Wouldn't you like to know who they are? So I did a schwanky little roll in and put their names on it. But Jen and Kim and Carrie and I are all stitching the Token of Love from Nicola on 56 count needle and flax Thornfield, and we're so excited about this. And Nicola got so excited, she announced it. She said, these ladies are all going to be stitching it on 56. So I'm excited, and I'm excited for her to see our progress. So I think I'm moving along. I mean, I've got the whole border in, and I've got the flowers all the way across the top and down the first quarter of the sides. So I'll just be zooming right along, because this is not that it's not that giant. You know, I'll have my words in these urns, and then right here, I'm going to honor my only granddaughter, Veda Lee Bell, and put the year of her birth. So mine will say Veda Lee Bell, and the year of her birth, and she will be honored in Mimi's house on the sampler. So those are all the things I've been working on. And so, yeah, I think I've been busy, don't you? So anyhow, I do have my quilting items, but I'm not going to show you those right now. I think the next thing I should do is I should announce the giveaways. I announced the winners of the giveaway from the video before last, but I have new giveaways. I've dropped a couple. One moment. When I was getting those rubber fingers out of the little sewing box right here, I threw some of them down. Fat Quarter Shop has sponsored our giveaway today. I'm so excited. Thank you, Fat Quarter Shop. And they've given us some really cute things. So we have our giveaway today. So let's just go ahead and start with that. The first giveaway is going to be 2 cross stitch patterns. One is Lazy Daisy by It's So Emma. Isn't that adorable? You could literally, they show it how you can change the colors and do it for different seasons on the back. And if you did that on like a 46, you could make a pin cushion out of that. The finished size, it's only 107 by 107, and so on 28 count or 14 count Aida, it would be, the finished size would be 7 3/4. So if you upped your game and did even a 36 count, it would make a really cute pin cushion. It's really an adorable pattern, but it looks like a pin cushion, almost like a biscornu. I mean, you could pin it down like that. That's the first one, and then the other one is Springtime Ornaments, and it includes 12 designs. It's really, really cute. So you get all 12 designs for all the little ornaments. And so if you would like to participate to win this giveaway from Fat Quarter Shop, use the call word SPRING. You have to be 18. Like and subscribe, please. And again, the call word is going to be spring, and you'll get these 2 patterns. The next giveaway is a quilt pattern. It's called the Quilted Scarecrow. Isn't that adorable? And it's designed by Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. I love it. Look at that crow. He's adorable. And if you'd like this quilt pattern, use the word quilt in your comment, please. And then they also sent the Quilted Scarecrow cross stitch pattern. So if you don't want to quilt it, maybe you want to stitch it. You could pick elements of this. Look at this milk thing with this pumpkin on the top. Would that not make a cute little small? Or just the crow? There's so many elements that you could just, if you wanted to just do a small, this is a really great pattern because there's so much involved in it. So if you'd like this, use the word stitch, and that will be for the Quilted Scarecrow cross stitch pattern. And then they have a series that's a monthly cross stitch series called Shelf Life. And they sent pattern 2 of 12, pattern 3, and pattern 4. And that's the February hearts. See, it's got those jars. And then they sent the March bird. Cute, cute, cute. That little bird nest and branch would make a really cute small. And then April rainy day. And if you like those patterns, then you can use the word jars with an S at the end, jars, in your comment. And then the last giveaway is got 2 patterns, and one is Wintertime Cross Stitch. It was a Stitch Quarterly pattern. It's just adorable. Again, you could just pick elements and make smalls. And then these are adorable. I get these every time these come out. I'm on auto ship for these little Be in My Bonnet stitch cards. And this is set T. Adorable. And if you would like these, use the word seasons. Seasons. And that's our giveaways for today's video. Thank you very much, Fat Quarter Shop, for supplying that for us. Okay, so now I'm going to grab, well, why don't I show you? I think what I'm going to do is show you my haul really quick, and then I'll show you my quilt things. Okay, one moment. Okay, well, one of the first things I got in was I had kitted up a Tisket a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. I kitted it up a while back, but I never started it because I really wasn't happy with the fabric I chose. So until I could put my mind to it, I thought, you know, I think I'll just wait. And I kitted it up with the called for Weeks Dye Works threads, and they are gorgeous. Now, I'm not going to do this part of Tisket a Tasket. One of the beautiful parts of Karen Kluba's patterns is she puts other ways to do the pattern. And I'm going to do this. It's called, and it's an extra mini and extra pages, and this one's called a welcome. Yes, a Tisket a Tasket welcome. So it gives, oh, I just love that border. And so I think that I've decided that I'm going to use LFA Covered Bridge 40 count. Next to this, the colors. Sorry about the crinkle, guys. These are the colors. Doesn't that look really nice? It has like a greenish, bluish color, which I'm not sure that it's conveying on there. But it looks really nice with these. But then on top of it, when I was watching Liz and Deb, she got the Victoria Clayton silks. So I was like, I really want to stitch it with the Victoria Clayton silks. I'm glad I waited. So I ordered in the Victoria Clayton silk pack. And she has it, you just go on, put in a Tisket a Tasket, Rosewood Manor, click, she's already got it curated. There you go. So I've got threads for both. These are going back in stash. But I am very pleased with this fabric from LFA. And so I chose the new fabric and I got a second set of threads. So I think I am ready to launch on that. So that is something, oops, that I got in. Excuse me, I'm throwing things everywhere. Then my friend Sherry Ward, who owns Creative Keep Studio on Etsy, she had showed us some things that she had, so I got some things from her. This is a little bit of spring by Blackbird Designs. I'll put a link to her shop down below. Then I got Samplers Not Forgotten, One Nation. And then I got a Needle Made Designs for the Love of the Needle E2E. And then I got Scatter Kindness from Samplers Not Forgotten. I don't think I did that bad this time. I'm really proud of myself. Okay, then my sweet, precious, dear friend Dawn, who is Gamma's Treasures on Etsy. She's a bag maker. Would you look at these beautiful, gorgeous bags? And the little thread bed. Just beautiful. I bought it in my favorite color, blue. And then I bought it in the beautiful red. And this is a French General fabric. I love it so much. I have a library in my main house that's all white and French blue. And my husband and I, we put these moldings and it looks like a picture frame on the wall. And I have wanted to put two antique samplers because they're on either side of the door. And they're just absolutely beautiful. But when I saw these, I want to see if I can find a wallpaper that looks like that. If not, I'm going to buy a bolt of this fabric and I'm going to make a padded inset and put them in those frames. This, I said, my project bag, look, husband, I need to put this fabric in those frames. And he said, oh, that would be gorgeous because the library is just French blue. I have window seats down both sides, and I had cushions made in white and blue that you can lay in the windows, and then all the white beautiful bookcases. And I just thought, look at the birds. So I got project bags, and I'm designing something new in the library of the main house. So anyway, and then along with that, Sweet Dawn sent me the sweetest card, and she did not make this, but a friend of hers makes these. This is a little pin cushion that the bottom is handmade basket out of pine needles, and then it's wool locks. And it has a little charm necklace on with an H, so Dawn named her Hannah. And she said, I just wanted to send you a little gift because I love you. So thank you, Dawn. So Dawn from Gamma's Treasures, go check her bags out. They're awesome. Thank you, friend, for my sweet gift. I love it. And then the Fanciful Flamingo, Miss Alicia. She, her pink box, here I'm opening it, her subscription box came, and I love it. She sent me a little love note on, she wrote on there to me. But anyway, I'm so excited because Annie, my sweet Annie friend, the Proper Stitcher, she is the designer in the box, and Sweet Friendships is in here, and I couldn't have picked a better pattern myself to go in this box. I love it. And Alicia and Annie are such precious friends. You get your thread. Lady Doc Creates Rickrack. The finishing fabric for the back. A little precious tag. Some stickers. A card, which I can't show you because you get to have a private Zoom stitch along with Annie on June 11th. And a project tracker card. And then there were some decorative pins, but the truth of the matter is, like I told you, I put everything away. This was what I had to dig out of the trash when I had to film again. Yeah. And then a Chantel 141 created the board to mount it on. So pretty. I'm so excited because I love all these people in real life. I love Annie. I love her. She's just a precious friend. I love Chantel. She's a doll face. I love Alicia. So I already have mine kitted up. I'm going to stitch mine on 37 count corn tassel. That was the only thing that didn't come with it, was the fabric. So I had already put this in a project bag and had to dig it out. And so my pretty pins, I have a drawer over here in my Sajou boxes, and I keep my pins that are not being used yet. So they are probably over there because I put everything away. And then I had talked to you about the spool pods. This is the spool pods that came from the UK. These are about $7.91 a piece. They work fantastic. You just saw my threads in some of these. My friend Holly from Hobbies of Holly, she ordered these in for us. Whether you order one of these or 100 of these, your shipping's $35. And we said there's got to be a better way. Not that we don't want to give business to our friend in the UK. They're great. Hobby and I have been doing an internal study. We've been ordering these things. So I ordered this set. And you get 4 of these on Amazon for about $5. And they do work. But I will say, this set right here, no mas. It's a little flimsy, but it works. They're like $4, $4.91. But they're not as nice as these. But they do work. I will put a link for these. But these are even nicer structure than these. These are nicer structured than these, and for $5 and change, you get 2 of them. $7.91 and $35 shipping, $5 and some change, get 2 of them in free prime shipping. Yes. So I think Holly and I have decided this one's the one because it's very, very well made. These actually, when you look them up, I am going to have a link for the white ones. And if you want these, I'm not saying they're not nice. They're just a little more flimsy. And so you do get 4 of them for something, $5. And that's great. But they're a little flimsy. These are the best quality of all 3 kinds. $5 and change for 2 in prime shipping, so you're not paying anything. I had a question from a viewer. Do sulkies fit in here? Yes, indeed they do. And they fit just as nicely our 103s. So this is now my new favorite holder. So I can get 2 for $5, you know, that's pretty good, or whatever it was. Very inexpensive, or were they $5 a piece? I don't know. Anyway, this is a better deal, and it's a good quality product. I will put a link, and I will put white, colored, and UK. You can take your pick. It's your party. You can spool how you want to. But yes, they hold the 103s and they hold the sulkies fantastically. And then I got my Sew Sampler box, and I'm so excited because I finished my block for my quilt along that I wanted to start, that I showed you last video before last. And I'm glad I got it done because my box came again and the second block is in it, and it's called May Days. And inside of it you get a jelly roll of fabric. You get, I love this product. I keep this in my studio at all times. It's called Flatter, F-L-A-T-T-E-R. When you spray and use this on your quilting, it makes it lay flat as a flitter. But I don't just use it for that. I do it when I am flattening out my, blocking. Words, they're tough. When I'm blocking my knitting, I like to spray a little flatter on them. It makes it, you know, it smooths it out. It's a really great product. So we got that, and then we got the Endurance Alpha blade, the 45 millimeter, and these are amazing blades. They do work tremendously well. Then we got some open and close with one hand wonder pins. These are not wonder clips, they're pins for like if you were going to hand quilt, which I love to do. Then we got a quilt pattern for to use our jelly roll, and it's called Spring Ivy Quilt Pattern. And then we got the pattern for block number 2 for our for the 12-month Peaceful Baskets quilt along. I'm going to show you block number 1 that came last month, and I have got it finished. And this is a closer view of what block number 2 will look like. And there, it's just beautiful, and it's got the Camille Roskelley fabric shoreline. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm keeping it for myself. I guess this is the year that Shelley's keeping things for herself, because I tell you, everybody's got a quilt for me except for me, except for the one I'm hand quilting. I'm going to show you. Okay, now I have 2 super very, very special things that I have that are part of my haul, and I'm going to show you the one because I'm not going to make you wait any longer. I'm going to show you my W frame. Would you look at this? The base of it right here is no different than the base size of a Patoki, but it stands taller than a Patoki. And you just pull this little lever, and it, Molly on Linen and Scraps calls this the Swan. This stand is amazing. You just give this a little push, and then you can flip it up and flip it back. This is not the only amazing thing. I can put my hoop in here, but what's so neat is I can take these 2 screws out, and then I can put this. This makes all the difference in the world. You can do scroll bars in your lap. So you get a twofer. You get a frame that you can use in your lap, take it in the car, take it on the porch, which I've done, and you can take these screws out and then put this in and put the screws back on, and you have got a scroll bar frame. This is a work of art, and absolutely, I've been waiting to find this for years. It's got one of everything. one of everything. You know it, you see it, I've showed you. I've got a whole video 19, where I show all that junk, and I still have more. I have floor frames I've given away. I just have never, I've had an artisan design, which Kay's Creation has one like. I have a Patoki, all of these modern great things. I have a floor frame. I have all the things. I have Lori Brecklin's, and I love all of them for one reason or another, but this is my favorite. I can sit it on a table like this. I can adjust it and raise it or lower it. I can raise it or lower it. I can hook my thing. I'm just going to rest it here for a minute, but put it right here and work on it. But what's so great is I can put it in my lap, on the couch. I have a herniated disc in my neck. I've had it since my 30s, and this hurts my neck. This hurts my neck. That's what I want. And this on my lap, I can bring it so close to my face. I'm not looking down. My Patoki, although it's fantastic, if I'm at a retreat and I sit it on the table, yes, throw it in the bag and go. That is the way to go to retreat, because I don't want to bang up this beautiful thing, which I would take it anyway because it comes with an amazing box, etc., etc. Worth every penny. Let me promise you, it is very expensive, but don't let that deter you. Quality cannot, you can't put a price on it, number one. Number two, it is the frame you've been looking for. It's the frame I've been looking for. I promise you, I have used it every single day since I got it. Kathy Bourne from Linen and Scraps is who showed this. This is called the Oak, and it's from W. The letter W stands. They have an Etsy shop and they have a website. And if you will go back to Linen and Scraps, it's 2 or 3 videos back. Kathy Bourne shows this. She also did a standalone review of this, and she has a 10% coupon. So if you want a W stand, don't walk. And it is, you do not have to wait. I had mine in less than 7 days. It's an American made product. It is phenomenal. It is everything. You get all of this. All of this. Hoop, or you can do this, the Millennium, your clamp stands, you can do your Q-snaps, whatever. It just rests right on there. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal piece of equipment that I can't see ever being without forever. This is my favorite so far in a lifetime of stitching. Do go and check them out, and go back and get yourself Linen and Scraps. Go back 2 or 3 videos and get the code from them. They have a 10% off coupon. I know Holly is getting one. She has got an upcoming gift that she could receive, and so she's saving her dollars, and she's put that and told her family on her list. So it's a wonderful thing. Wonderful, wonderful stand. You aren't going to want to miss having one. If you've been looking for something that is versatile all the way around, it's that. They do have a floor frame, but for me personally, I feel trapped by that. And maybe you don't, but they do have a floor frame. But for me, I feel like I can just take it everywhere. I can stitch out here and run back to the other house. I put it over my arm like this and carry it, and I can take it everywhere with me. It's the best piece of advice I have gotten from a stitcher in a long time. Thanks, Kathy Bourne. So go get yourself a coupon and check out the W stands. Okay, I saved this for last. It would have been the stand that I saved for last, but you know I'm a collector of antique sewing machines, and I bought myself another one. I have been looking for a very long time for an antique sewing machine that is what is called a fiddle base. First off, I want to hold this up. Look at this stunning box with the keys and all the original tags. I bought this. It came from the UK. I have never heard of this brand. It's very heavy. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to show you. She's just so gorgeous. But let me turn her around. But the base of the sewing machine looks like a fiddle. If you see, can you see this? Isn't it gorgeous? And it's a hand crank, but I ordered her. I got her from England. Oh, she is just stunning. So if you're a collector of antique machines like me, and I use mine, and you saw my husband bought me that beautiful little itty bitty that I call her, my Wilcox and Gibbs. She's a hand crank as well, but I have wanted one with a fiddle base for so long, and to find one in good working order that is just so beautiful. So isn't she pretty? I saved her for last. I think about broke my arm putting her down. She's awfully heavy. So, and her box is in excellent condition, and it came with the key to open it and the original serial number tag. Isn't that neat? And I mean, the brass carved handle, oh, it's just so special. So if you're a collector of antique machines like me, I had to have that. I had to have that. She's gorgeous. Okay, so let's see. I accidentally moved the camera just a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to take a drink really quick. I've just talked my little head off. Let me show you my quilt projects. I had just talked to you about the Fat Quarter Shop year-long stitch along. The Peaceful Baskets. This is basket number 1. And I got my quilt kit with all the beautiful fabrics. I have already been cutting into them because I've got block number 1 done. This is Shoreline by Camilla Roth Skelly. And this is my first basket. Isn't it beautiful? It turned out just beautiful. So there you go. So block 1 and done, 12 to go. And so I really enjoyed this, really good directions. And there's the back. I think I did pretty good. So anyway, block 1 is done. So I started my quilt along, and then I showed on my socials the other day that I had started my quilt. I, along with Ginger Shull, Tina Egner, Katie from So Tattered, Carolyn, her mother, Carrie, and I were doing a quilt, and I hadn't started mine yet. I had been just so busy. I haven't seen Carolyn's, and I don't think Carrie started hers, but everybody else has got theirs done and they're quilted. Well, I've got 84 of my blocks all done, and now all I have to do is sew these together and then sew the quilt top together. I am going to quilt this on my long arm quilter. This is Marcus Fabrics Cheddar and Coal number 2 by Pam Buddha. You use 1 single layer cake. It's 42 pieces of fabric. And so here's some of the colors. It's really primmy and really, I love it. The old calico colors. So this will make a beautiful fall quilt. So I have all 84 of these ready, and they'll sew together like this, and then you make 7 rows of 6. And the pattern, let me write that down. Yes, I already wrote it down to put a link. It's called the Double Slice Layer Cake Quilt. The pattern is free, and the person who designed it does a walkthrough of the entire thing. And it's just as easy as can be, and it's just fun, and I'm so excited. And I made a quilt block that I showed it back on my socials back in the fall. I made it for the back for all of us. It has all of our names on it to commemorate making the quilt together. So I'm really glad to finally catch up with my friends and get in my quilt done. So I'm hoping to have my quilt top finished this week, and if I do that, I can get it up on the long arm and get it quilted, and I'll be so excited. So yeah, and of course to put my block on the mat back to commemorate doing that with my sweet friends. So it'll be a precious, precious thing. And then another thing I'm so excited. You know, I'm not sitting at the quilt frame right now. I've got television tables here because when Carrie was here, one of the things we did, you know, I told you I wanted to get the quilt off the quilt frame. It's been there for over a year and there was barely a row done. And I'm doing this quilt for myself. And guess what? Out of 7 rows, I have 3 hand quilted. I'm so excited. You won't be able to see my quilting. My hoop is on there. This is an antique quilt hoop. And look, it's just the right size. See, it's little and it's not too big, and I keep it nice and loose, and I just sit there on the couch and I hand quilt it. But let me hold up this portion of the quilt. So this is what it looks like, and it's a queen size. And so at 3 rows hand quilted, that means if there's 7 rows, I'm close to halfway done. And that's been since Carrie was here. She said, "Are you going to get any of that done?" I messaged her the other day. I said, "You want to guess how far I've got?" So that's something that I've been doing since I saw you last. Oh, I love to hand quilt. My dog, this is me on the couch. This is me just like this. And I stick my hand under here and I just rock that needle. I don't even have to think. I'm just echoing the white section. So I'm just going around it. I'm not stitching in the ditch. At this point, I can do a straight line about 1/4 of an inch out, and I don't have to look at a pattern. I don't have to do anything. It is so comforting. I love to hand quilt. So I sit with it in my lap, and then I have the other part of it over here on the couch, and my dogs get all wrapped up in it, and I just sit and quilt. It's just, this is one of my all-time favorite things to do, hand quilting. So yeah, so those are everything I've been working on. And I had told you that I was going to show you 3 quilts. So I'm going to grab the 3 quilts, and I have, I'm going to show you a couple books really quick. But let me tell you some real quick quilt stories. Okay, let's go back in time. We will start with the one that's the closest in time to us. And this quilt is from the Depression era, and it has a Dresden flowers on it, all in feed sack. There are 6 of them. Well, 4.5. Now, oops. Well, I just spilled my water. Excuse me. Okay, so this is from the Depression era. And one of the things that I'm not exactly sure if can be picked up on the camera, but the foundation fabric here is all sugar sack, and you can tell that it's sugar sack. You can feel it. If you've ever seen a sugar sack, you can tell. So this person was making do. It's hand tied, and on the back it all has plain feed sack all the way, and you can see where it's seamed. They have taken a feed sack, and where it would have been seamed up the 2 sides, they've picked it out, and then they've opened it long and sewed 2 of them together, and it has stood the test of time. It has, the back was turned over the front to finish it off instead of binding it, and it's been hand tied with cotton thread. And you can tell from the feed sack that it's feed sack. And as I said, you can feel very clearly when you touch it that this is sugar sack. Now remember the sugar sack, because I'm going to come back to that in our oldest quilt. And so this is from one time era. This is the closest in. And she's in really good shape. And I think of the mama or the grandmother who made this. She truly was making do with what she had to bring something beautiful into her home, and she used her sugar and her feed sacks, and it just makes me think of a time where we are so, I use this term all the time in my house, I hope I don't offend anybody, we're so fat and happy and fed That's what I say. And this is a time where, you know, things were not so good, and yet beautiful things came from it. And you might ask, well, how do you know? Well, of course, once you begin this thing that I do of collecting and studying, I love old samplers and quilts. Let me tell you, I've got a bunch of all of them. And once you begin to learn about them, you can identify them. And one of the books that I have that I love is there's 850 patterns, the colorful history of frugal fabrics, feed sacks, written by Lindsay Cole McCrae. Okay, this book is like an exhausted encyclopedia of feed sacks, and there are examples of the feed sacks in here. Oh, and look, here's sugar sack, and you can see them. And but just, that would have been a wacky web quilt. But just, oh, and look, I have some feed sacks that I have I have them put away because I don't want the sun on them, but they were chicken mash, and it has a label like that, and it's on beautiful feed sack fabric. But this is all the story of that. This is kind of what a feed sack would look like, and then you would peel that label off. And I have a book over here. It's called Egg Money Quilts. And Eleanor Burns wrote this book. And it's all about patterns from that time frame. And they would take their egg money and get fabric, but you see all the fabrics in here. They would get their chicken mash, and they would say, I want 2 of those pink bags of mash, or I want this color of my hog food, or the husband would say, my wife wants 4 bags of cattle feed in blue. And they would literally design dresses. There were patterns that were made specifically during the time frame. So you know, and it shows an old magazine, and on some of the feed sacks there would be printed, let's see if I can't find it, it's wonderful to, if you can go through here and find your feed sack that you've got, if you've got real ones. But anyway, they would put like patterns that were printed right onto the feed sack, and they would be for stuffed animals for children, and so they could make gifts for their children. So it's very, very neat. So this is a periodical that I use a lot. I can tell a real one at this point, and I can identify it because I have that book. So this is the closest one I'm going to show you in our time frame. Let's go back in history a little longer, a little farther back. This is an absolutely perfect example. It's in exquisite condition. It's all hand pieced and all hand quilted. And the calicos and the colors, they tell their story. And you can look at the prints, and just like the feed sacks, you can do this, clues in the calico. This is a wonderful book. The Brockman Bible for Dating Quilts is what they call this. The Guide to Identify and Dating Antique Quilts. And you can go through here and you can find examples, and you know, and you can also get historical books that show the printings of calicos. And another book that I like to use is, this is the second edition of this. This is the Winterthur Museum Printed Textiles, British and American Cottons, 1700 to 1850. Susan just showed this, and I got so tickled. She also talked about a book called The American Quilt. I've talked to you guys about that before. But just, they're amazing periodicals, and you can go through and you can identify calicos in here. Just beautiful examples. And then another way I like to identify is, I love to buy these books. This is the Quilts of Tennessee, Images of Domestic Life Prior to 1930. You can find these books like this. and they'll talk about different parts. There's ones from Baltimore, like about the Baltimore album quilts, and you can find things like this. But when you begin to look in here and you see and you know what? You come in here and it says, this sampler of blocks made by Iona Almina Philo Pool, and it was done in 1870 in Morgan County. Well, look at, here's the quilt. Sometimes you can get in there and you can identify, and if you identify something, it can help you. Again, we have to remember that the newest fabric, whether it was made or not, it's the newest fabric. But so this is approximately 1870 is what, but the hand quilting is exquisite on both sides. And this is just a wonderful quilt. My daughter says this is the good. It's just the right thickness, just the right handle to it. And you know, I think she'd love to have it, but nobody's sleeping under this quilt. This is a collection piece. Maybe, you know what, maybe one day I'll let her sleep under it, but not today. Okay, so that's about 1870, somewhere in there. But the last quilt I want to show you is the second one I've owned. I sold the other one, and I wished I hadn't, but I had an offer because of it was being a historical piece it was bought by a collector. It wasn't in great condition, but it was the content of it, and that's what we're looking for. Sometimes it's not the magical pieced quilts or the album quilts or the applique quilts. Sometimes for me it's just the story, and that's this quilt. And it's the story began to unfold immediately when I found this quilt in Tennessee. And this is it. It's very primitive, and you can see on the front it's hand tied. This is Civil War. This is at least 1860. And you would think that that's the end of the story, but it's not. Because I am observant, and I flipped it over to look at it, and lo and behold, remember I said it was tied on the front? Well, guess what? The back tells me another story, because it's been hand quilted, and it's done in a Baptist fan, which is one of my favorite hand quilting patterns. And I said, whoa, wait just a minute. Hold up. Let me look at this. Then I looked even closer, and this is a pair of men's pants, and you can see where the pockets were that went in. And I began to look at this quilt, and I said, wait just a second. So then I found an edge that was open, and I spied with my little eye that indeed this was a quilt that they had re-topped. They made do. You see, this is a new quilt top on to an old used quilt. And I was able to look in here, and I was able to see the fabrics. And when I began to look at the fabrics, my heart started pittering and pattering, because I recognized, you can see why they re-quilted it. See, it was falling apart. But if you begin to look deeper within the edges, you can see way down in there. And friends, this quilt, in my suspecting eye, because of this fabric right here, this black calico, it looks like cross stitches. They're little X's. And then there's a bigger square in the middle with 4 X's around it. And I spied this calico. This quilt is between 1830 and 1840 because of that calico. I almost hit the floor. And you would say, oh, I wouldn't pick that quilt up. That thing's not very pretty. But what had hit me was, as I recognized some of these fabrics on the front, and I picked it up and I was like, holy cow, that's Civil War. And so, and then I flip it over, and then there's pieces of men's pants. And you know, these are like a chambray, and you could, very soft chambray like. And I thought, holy cow, this is somebody's clothing, but that wasn't the end of it. along the edges, they were reinforcing it and fixing it because the back began to have problems. And lo and behold, one of the corners told me a story when they made the back repairs. You see right here, this sugar sack? This sugar sack says McCann's Sunny Cane Sugar, extra fine granulated, 25 pounds. McCann's Survey Cane Sugar. And it also says on the other part of this, it says that it was made in American, refined in the USA with American labor. And then you go down a little farther and it told me that McCann Sugar was from Pennsylvania. So I did myself a little study, and McCann's Sugar began in Pennsylvania in 1873. So sometime in 1870s, 1880s, somebody was fixing the back of this. And so for me, this is a story. This is a heritage. And to somebody, this may not be a pretty quilt, but to me, it tells me a neat story. Whose hands touched this? Whose hands repaired this? Who wore these clothes on the back? I won't know. But I honor the quilter, and her quilt is a treasure to me. And whoever fixed her, and like I said, I looked on the back, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, there's hand quilting, but it's, see, that was the first clue. Keep your eyes adjusted when you're looking. This may have been tied when a new top was put on it, but originally that was the first clue, was the very back. And so this, my friends, goes way, 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 way back. And as I said, that pattern on the inside is at least 1830, 1840. And it's mine. It just, oh, I hope someone gushes over something that I've made like this so many years ago. That would make this quilt in the neighborhood of 200 years old. And so I just thought you would enjoy to see those things and learn why and how and all the things. So I just took you through history from, the 1920s and 30s during the Depression. And then we went back a little bit to about the 1870s. And now we've gone back to two time periods. The first quilt would have been 1830, 1840. And then the top would have been Civil War. The repair on the back would have been 1870s. Did you think that a story could be told off of a quilt like that? It was so fun. It just makes my heart and my head explode when I find things like this. So anyway, I've showed you everything now and given you a history tour. And I've had so much fun being with you today. It's been fun being with you twice this week. I've enjoyed all of your comments, and I thank you for following along. If you do want to be part of the giveaway, please like and subscribe, and do put in your comment the keywords. Thank you, Fat Quarter Shop, for sending the gifts to give to all of the subscribers. Please do not use the word giveaway or gift or prize, because it brings the gremlins. But I think I'm done for today, and I've enjoyed spending time with you. And until I see you again, I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends.